In today's video, I'm playing a game-changing F1 mod for F1 25. This is Formula Fantasy 25 with driver transfer changes in the base game so you can play them in Grand Prix mode. Every single team getting new liveries, overalls, driver helmets, team kit refreshes, and even all new physics and handling changes. And it all begins here with an all-new splash screen for the opening. Just this alone is getting me so hyped. It looks like an entirely new game, and it basically is Formula Fantasy 25. And those three cars, this Venturi, you have absolutely cooked with this one. Let's click in. Let's get going. I'm loving the different color UI also on the bottom. It's already got a whole new vibe of an F1 game experience. And oh my days, what? Oh, no way. They're custom animations and Antonelli and Ferrari overalls. It just looks right, doesn't it? It just looks right. Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas join Antonelli on the cover. Honestly, if you didn't know this was a mod, this just fully looks like an all-new game they created. Absolutely insane. And we haven't even bloody gone into looking at everything. Right, let's look at all the different teams that we've got with this mod. You'll also notice Continental tires. We've got a new tire brand and manufacturer here in the game now across the sport with different compounds and all new UI for the entire game and each team. So we've got Santander, McLaren, Nismo, Formula One team. So McLaren partnering with Nissan and the Nismo brand underneath them with a black and red livery looking gorgeous as ever, kind of giving you that old school red and white sort of feel from McLaren the old days. So that's the McLaren team. We now move on to Scuderia Ferrari. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, I love that detailing and the prancing horse on the top of the engine cover. That is a really nice livery. And again, you know, playing on the nostalgia part with the hits of white and the red. I am a sucker, you guys know, for a good gradient as well, as it seems to be gradienting a little bit darker Rosso red towards the top of the entire car and a bit of a lighter, more classical, lighter red of the Ferrari towards the front and the rest of the side pods and whatnot. And we've got, as it was in the olden days, in the Schumacher era, wasn't it? Tommy Hilfiger partnering with Ferrari here. That slaps. That's really, really good. Next up, we've got, well, it's another Nismo partnership because we've got Nismo with McLaren here. So I suspect maybe in the lore, in the story of this fantastical F1, Nissan under the Nismo brand is a major player in Formula One now. So we've got Nismo Red Bull Racing, and it's actually a red car for the Red Bull Racing team, and that works really well obviously with the Red Bull and then the white where the yellow would usually be. And then that is a really nice design on the back of the engine cover. I'm liking that. I'm liking that detailing. That's a banger. That works really well. Next up, we've got the Mercedes T-Mobile Formula One team. Bloody Nor, that is so different, and that is it works. It's really striking, but it works. The T-Mobile pink with the silver arrow, kind of slightly silverish, but more black, really. But you got the dark silver, I suppose, or dark grey in the middle there. And the Petronas logo still works well on the grey bit. And then the chevrons with the T-Mobile pink is really, really nice. And the Mercedes, take it from me as well, you know, having tried to mod the Mercedes chassis in previous videos and previous career mode episodes, the Mercedes chassis is a really difficult one to mod. So with what they're working with, this is a really good outcome for a Mercedes T-Mobile F1 team setup. Next up is Genesis Magma Racing. So I can't even tell what team this is underneath, but it's a full rebrand of one of the F1 teams to a Genesis Magma Racing. So a totally new brand, car brand in Formula One, kind of giving me almost striker vibes with the orange, obviously. But that's really nice. That's a little bit of a change of pace, to the usual color palettes we have on the F1 grid. The next brand is a very familiar one, especially if you're in the MotoGP world. It's Repsol GR Williams, and the Repsol colors on the side pod with the Williams darker shades of blue, darker blue, Atlassian still there on the engine cover. You've got the GR logos on the front wing. That actually works really well. Like the Repsol colors actually complement the blue in a kind of nice contrasting way. That is really, really good. That's a nice reimagined version of Williams with a Repsol partnership on with the team. And very nicely, the Repsol colors match the Continental tire colors as well with the orange there. Next up is Rocket Rodin Motorsport. Now, Rodin, very well known in some of the junior categories of the Formula One ladder and other forms of motorsport. So cool to see Rodin now, Rodin cars represented in Formula One with their logo big on the engine cover at the back. And then it's just as they are in the junior categories, this really sleek black and silver grey color palette. And Rocket, obviously well known in the F1 space, but also other forms of motorsport, back in Formula One. Probably a bit more successful than when they were in with Williams, wasn't it? Now, American viewers will be very familiar with this next car brand. It's Chip Ganassi in Formula One. The art, that's nice. I like that. I like a good art car, as you guys may have, seen in the past when we've done like the BMW art car and F123 and whatnot. Having a little bit of, artistic expression in Formula One liveries, I'm always up for. So that's a really nice little bit of art on the engine cover. The front, it's actually done really well on the front end here as well, on the end plate. And where the front nose cone is. That's really, really nice. So Chip Ganassi coming over from the world of IndyCar into Formula One. And you can see NTT on the rear wing. Very American sort of sponsorship there. Spotify as well. Very American-led sponsorship with this team, as it would be. And you can see also powered by Ford on the front nose cone. Next up is Volkswagen Motorsport. Oh, that's class. That is so slick. That is so slick. The gradients of blue, the little graphical design on the side pod to the engine cover. That's a very tidy Volkswagen livery. I like the logo, just very clean on the top then and the front as well. That's gorgeous. That's really, really nice. And then finally, it's Monster Ford Andretti. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's so sick. That's so sick. I am a big fan of a Monster Energy livery. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know, harking back to the My Driver days, I am a sucker for a Monster F1 team. And so this Monster Ford Andretti, what a combination. What a combination. And I love the kind of, rip marks across the engine cover, Monster on the side pods, and the front detailing as well, with that kind of camo style subtlety from the black to the grey. That is a really nice livery for the Monster Ford Andretti team. And you'll notice on the UI here, every single team has its chassis, a made-up chassis name on the top left. Like the little tiny details that Venturi Studios have gone to make this an all-encompassing, such an immersive mod is crazy. Like, this is actually a generational sort of F1 mod. Like, I'm actually speechless a bit. I kind of just need to take it in of how much depth they've gone to. And then the cars is not where this mod ends, because as you can clearly tell by this main menu, we've got Antonelli in the Ferrari, Sainz in the McLaren here, and Bottas, I assume that'll be Volkswagen with the blue there. But they have modded the game in quite an old school way with face swapping and name changing, where they have made their own driver transfers baked in to the base of this game. So this is the grid for Formula Fantasy. Driving for Santander McLaren Nismo Formula One team is Carlos Sainz alongside Lando Norris. And you can see the helmets as well have been modified and changed to obviously reflect the different team colors and the makeup they've got with the red McLaren logo on the front. You can just about see there on Lando's helmet, and obviously completely unique overalls for each team as well, but transfers as well. So the first one being Carlos Sainz to McLaren. So the Carlando connection, the thinking is, it is a fantastical mod. So kind of making those transfers, those partnerships, the teams and the brands in Formula One that are so just out there, but that fans would love to see and they have said maybe in the past, in years gone by, they'd like to see. And this is definitely one of those fan favorite partnerships. Moving on then to the all-new look Scuderia Ferrari, and it's Charles Leclerc still here as the golden boy of the prancing horses, alongside though Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Italian driver driving for the big Italian team. It just makes sense, doesn't it? And I gotta say, this overall slaps. That two-tone with the Italian strip is beautiful. Oh my days. Moving on to Nismo Red Bull Racing. We've got Isaac Hadjar driving for the big boy Red Bull team. Something that may happen in the future IRL Formula One alongside Franco Colapinto. That's an interesting one. Obviously, it's a bit of a different Red Bull team. It's Nismo Red Bull, so a bit of a different kind of way. Maybe some sponsorship involved here to get Colapinto across. Driving for Mercedes T-Mobile is Max Verstappen. I mean, clearly a fantastical transfer here. Obviously, so much talk and faff by Toto Wolff in the last 2 years about Verstappen being on Mercedes' radar, and here in the fantasy mod it has been a reality. Verstappen in not quite the silver overalls, it's the pink overalls of Mercedes AMG T-Mobile, alongside one of his old teammates Alexander Albon. So this pairing reunited, but at Mercedes, and Alex obviously in real life doing so well at Williams, but that team used to be connected to Mercedes, so you can maybe see where they had the thinking of signing Alexander Albon maybe to go alongside Max Verstappen. Genesis Magma Racing, literally honestly no idea what this driver lineup could be. It's an all-new brand in Formula One, and it's going to be Esteban Ocon, okay, alongside George Russell. Okay. Very interesting pairing. Two former Mercedes Academy drivers now together, so that, they'll be somewhat familiar with each other. I feel like Genesis actually is a car brand that's very, like, George Russell-esque. Like, it kind of fits the brand of Genesis. George Russell does, very clean cut. Yeah, it makes sense. Repsol GR Williams now has Pierre Gasly alongside Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, another fan favorite Gio. These two, the old AlphaTauri friends, and this is another big, great duo. Rocket Road in Motorsport, like Genesis. No real idea which way this is going to go with the drivers. Let's see. We've got Paul Aaron alongside Ollie Behrman's helmet in the Rodin colors is cold. Oh my word, that slaps. That's so good. That is so good. And a very clean overall with the black and white. You can't go wrong sometimes with the black and white and silver color palette. But Paul Aaron getting his shot at Formula One alongside Ollie Behrman. Chip Ganassi Racing are going to have Richard Verschoor and Josep Marti. So this is a bit of a left field one. Obviously, Chip Ganassi coming into F1 would be a very rogue choice as like an American team operating an IndyCar. So I suspect it would be a case of, they can't really afford the top drivers. They need to start with somewhere, basically. We've got Volkswagen Motorsport, and they're going to have Gabriele Bortoleto and Valtteri Bottas. Monster Ford Andretti. This is a very cool team, so I want to see a good pairing here. It's Nico Hülkenberg alongside Oscar Piastri. That's a solid lineup. That's a really nice lineup for Monster Ford Andretti. Piastri, the younger of the two, but Hülkenberg brings that experience. We know, Hülkenberg's proved it in the last year or so, how good he still is in Formula One. So that's a very, really strong lineup, actually. And so that's the grid. That's the grid and the cars of this Formula Fantasy Formula One And like I mentioned, we've got the tires here as well. There is an all-new set of compounds with Continental and UI to go with it. As you can see here, with the soft, medium, and hard being in red, medium being the orange, and the hard being the white, but all of them have that Continental stripe over. Intermediates are in purple, it looks like, and then full wets in blue. And I've just seen, by the way, in the menus, Formula Junior 25 coming soon. You're having a laugh. These guys are going to make the entire junior category up in a fantastical way. I assume to match what they've made with the full F1 grid. This is insane. This is crazy. And obviously goes without saying, but just like with the overalls, the helmets, the cars, even the team personnel have all new specific looks and everything. Like even in the pit lane, it's all changed, and there are now new different sponsors across the circuit as well. We've got Ryanair on the exit of the pit lane here in Bahrain. Tommy Hilfiger on the side. Continental now takes over where Pirelli usually would have been. So it's now a very different looking, visual for most circuits now. Where Pirelli would be, it's now Continental with that kind of, orange beige sort of color and their logo. So it completely transforms the entire circuit when you have so much of it taken up by the tire brand. And in the distance, I think I can spot Heineken. Is that also sponsoring in the distance? No, not Heineken. San Pellegrino. Sorry. The Italian sparkling drinks company. Ryanair was a big bibble. That's sick. That's so good. Ryanair, now a luxury brand in Formula One. Well, we got HPE, we've got Avis, a new big Tommy Hilfiger sponsor here. Oh, it's nuts. Every single circuit will be like this. Every single circuit will look different. And then I mentioned the helmets as well. We kind of saw some of them, but you got different variant helmets now. For example, Carlos Sainz in the McLaren now. Antonelli's Ferrari helmet. That combo, I'm sorry, that's one of the best combos ever. Verstappen with Mercedes. Russell's design now in orange, complementing the Genesis car. Bortoletto still with the Brazilian colors on his helmet, but now with the Volkswagen logo, of course. Oh, yeah. Behrman's helmet slaps with the Rodin colors. Oh, that is so good. And then Hulkenberg's original helmet design, actually with the green, just fits perfectly, to be honest, with the monster colors. But what a grid this is. What a grid that is. And I think, you know what? Now, I think it's time to try out a little cheeky race. And like I said at the very start in the intro of this video, this mod includes a massive handling modification to the entire game, and this is kind of the readout of what's been changed. Slipstream and dirty air ratio adjusted, improvements to try and fix the flicking and drifting meta, bumps and most of the RNG eliminated. The car has slightly less grip now in slow to mid-speed corners, a bit more, on its feet. Tire wear recalibrated. Braking has been fixed with gearbox and clutch slipping fixed, and AI getting a buff, so they are fighting a little bit more than in the base game. And all of these big changes come courtesy of Kevin Balaz, who's been independently working on this updated handling and changes for F1 25, but it's been included as a package deal with this mod. So as we load in for a quick race here at the Austrian Grand Prix, not only are we going to be getting a good look at the visual changes, the driver transfers, the team changes, everything with the circuit as well, but also a feel for this brand new handling model for the very first time into turn one. It's immediately really apparent, that change to low speed grip and just the way the car mechanically works. You'll maybe also notice visually, if you look very closely at the steering wheel kind of, rotation and the kind of the lock difference into some of the corners, that it's a very different steering angle now required for some corners. And whilst maybe making some overtakes, as we managed to try and get a run on Ollie Behrman in that really awesome looking Rodin motorsport car. Now we're driving as Antonelli in the Ferrari. I just had to, because it's just such a good combination. The young Italian in the Ferrari car. We get past Aaron, then up to P14, but it's just epic to actually see these kind of, transfers in the base game, basically, as you can actually do it in quick race and outside of the career mode transfers itself. Very old school style of modding this is, as we now get onto the back of Bortoletto, 3 wide ahead. And I think, it's obviously a very short amount of testing time here, but I think you can kind of tell the AI being very punchy with each other, a lot more than they might be on F125, which I still feel was already a great improvement in the right direction to F124, but this mod is now maybe showing that we can do even better to get this game, get the F1 game currently as it stands, back to how it was in some of those golden ages where there was so much constant action, AI on AI on player, and then we're also enjoying the fruits of the handling changes and the physics changes, because the slipstream is so much better now. There's actual dirty air behind the cars, and we're having to compensate that for earlier braking, and you know, it's a bit of a struggle getting the nose turned in a good way. But then when you get a run on a car, the slipstream actually is working. The closer we get, the more powerful the slipstream actually works, as it should do in real life. Whereas on the base F125 game, the general notion in the community is there's just basically no difference. You can be like, you know, 3 cars back or 1 car back, and you're getting the same slipstream power, which is not right. You should be getting more as you get closer to the car, and that's definitely apparent now with this Formula Fantasy mod, with those changes made to the underneath skin of the physics and how everything's working. And low speed constantly, I'm having to go opposite lock. You'll notice into like turn 1 there, up into this next right-hander as Hulkenberg goes for a move again. Great to see 2x2 AI. They just can't get enough of fighting with one another, but we get a great run on Hulkenberg. We've both got DRS open, and you'll also notice, by the way, I don't have to deploy battery constantly because the slipstream now is fixed. I can actually afford to fully just go off overtake mode, just stick on medium, and the DRS and slipstream effect is actually pulling me along effectively. Whereas on the base game, you have to overuse the battery a little bit just to get that little extra oomph to make that overtake. On the last lap here, some big infighting between the new Mercedes T-Mobile drivers, Verstappen and Albon, coming together a little bit. We don't have DRS quite on them, but we will do coming up, and we're actually using this time to save battery. I haven't referenced it yet, but how lovely are those Cadbury sponsors? That actually fits really well. The nice purple contrasting the track really nicely as we gain on Albon. He's got DRS here as well, so he's obviously used a bit of battery there, but we go down for the inside and get the move done, and then having to try and wrestle the car on the exit is, you know, that medium to low speed really is a big difference of grip levels and the steering angle needed as we come through. Then we've recovered really well. Of course, though, in a quick race, it's always a bit different to a full Grand Prix, 50% in terms of how quickly you move up the order. And then a nice podium sequence with new sponsors on the back with MasterCard there. I can see those team kits from McLaren are lovely. The Santander logo fits really nicely in that kind of diagonal pattern, and then, like I said, that Ferrari overall is just lovely with the two-tone red. But I think hopefully you'll agree, just in that 5-lap race, very chaotic, very action-packed, so much going on with the AI on AI fighting, and then ourselves. If you really focus on the car, you'll even visually, without even driving it yourself and feeling the force feedback, you'll notice visually there is a big difference in the low speed of how the car's moving about, how much steer you need to put in. So I really enjoyed it. It took some getting used to, I can't lie, because it is a big difference, but that's how much of a difference I think the mod is making to making a whole new experience. Visually, actually tangibly feeling with the physics of the car, it is genuinely like playing an all-new game with this mod currently, and has me considering, like, do we need to maybe do like a side mini series to the My Team series I've got going on right now? You know, season 5 is going to be coming up next week, but do we need to maybe do like a mini series with this mod, because it is an entirely new experience of playing the game, and kind of almost feels like we're getting a kind of a 2.0 version of this game to play with. Let me know in the comments below, as we're making moves now, driving as Oscar Piastri in the monster Andretti Ford car. This time we actually qualified properly, because I thought maybe this team might not have the performance to recover as well as we did with Antonelli in the Ferrari, and so we're already in the thick of it for the top 10 positions. But look at this speed we're gaining on Valtteri Bottas here in Vegas. I thought, you know, from Austria to Vegas will be 2 really good circuits to really see the improvements, because I think the biggest areas that the handling needed improving on was the whole slipstream aspect, and then also maybe the AI fighting still could be improved a little bit, and then the low speed as well is quite a challenge in Austria, but also more so in Vegas as well with some of the sections of the circuit. So I think Vegas is a really good litmus test of how this new handling and physics works, and already you're seeing, well, 3 wide ahead, then 2 wide between Marty and Russell. We get the jump on Colapinto, and using a little bit of battery to get the oomph. We're trying to get the slipstream on Marty though, trying to get that suction in, and you'll just see, even without DRS, gaining so much on Marty into turn 1. It's almost like having a tiny NASCAR mod on the game, just very subtly to get that kind of suction towards the next car. And I don't mean to use that word as a kind of, you know, to laugh and joke. Like, legitimately, you kind of feel that slipstream sucking you in, as it should do in real life, and it should do in the game, but you just never see it on the base F1 25 game. As it's again a 3-wide fight between Verstappen, I think it's Gasly and Leclerc there. We're looking to make a move on the Genesis of Russell, and being a little bit overcautious here, because this section's really a new challenge with the low speed handling, because it honestly feels like maybe like before almost that there was an anchor like tying down the car a bit in low speed, and now it's just a little bit less, and so you do have to think a little bit more about when you're going on throttle, trying to go around. And I think the dirty air honestly is affecting things a lot here, because Verstappen, we get caught up in his dirty air here, and I had to really measure the throttle, and even then had a little bit of a snap of oversteer, and then Russell gets a run on me. And I think that's also from the dirty air, which it's something very hard to visually really see. It's more of a feeling, but just take it from me, of every time we were behind cars, it felt like a more nervous car, which it should do, of course. And then in the slipstream, vice versa, that same effect, you get that benefit, which you're clearly seeing with the AI as well, and ourselves. Like here, gaining on these guys, but no battery deployed, just on none ERS, in fact, and we're still gaining with DRS, which is how it should be, because you shouldn't have to deploy battery anytime you want to gain a little bit, because you should be gaining a bit anyway when you have a DRS open. And you've just got into the toe, you know, a la old school F1, you know, when we didn't have ERS or even KERS or even DRS, you would still gain on a car, you know, sufficiently sometimes if you got that run on them and you got tucked up in the slipstream. You know, that's old school, just natural racing. That should still be somewhat apparent there, even if there are some aids of battery and DRS now, modern F1, to alleviate some of the gripes with the, you know, generation of cars we've got, or just the nature of F1 now, with it being difficult to overtake at. And then I think a final talking point of this physics change is the last point that was made about the AI being buffed a little bit, so they fight a bit more, not only with each other, but with you. Like Verstappen here was giving us a real strong fight, like the way he came back at us basically into this last section on the previous lap, and now we're having to re-fight him, and we've lost ground to Leclerc and Gasly because Verstappen is putting up such a strong effort to re-pass us every time and get us back. We have to play a little bit of a clever game. He's actually got a little bit of damage there, but we let him by, looking to try and get DRS off him, and we're going to stop deploying. We're on hot lap mode only. Verstappen pulls through, but then we're going to get back in the slipstream and immediately start gaining on him, even before DRS opens. Now DRS pops, able to repass him there. And then Russell comes back in for trying to pass Verstappen, thanks to my slipstream. So I think also some promising signs of the AI being that little bit more aggressive with their overtakes or comebacks, basically, as we finish out this Vegas race. And I think a very nice little preview of the racing and new physics with the Formula Fantasy mod over these 2 short, quick races. And yeah, let me know in the comments below, genuinely and seriously, do you guys maybe want to see like a side second mini series with the Formula Fantasy mod? Because I think genuinely it could be really interesting, you know, with the driver transfers, yes, and all the fantastical changes, but just the base physics being so different now could give us some very different racing to what we're going to see maybe in the My Team series with Season 5, with near maxed out cars, even with the regulation change obviously coming. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. But that has been my in-depth look at Formula Fantasy 25 by Venturi Studios. Links down below in the description. description, of course. And I'll catch you guys around. Goodbye.